You are like me, a Leica monochrome shooter? I have 3 essential tips for you. 2 are technical and 1 is for a better experience. Native Leica monochrome sensors are, I think, one of the most exciting sensors around. It doesn't matter which monochrome camera you have. I here have the M10. It's not the newest one. There is an M11, but it's also not the oldest one. It's one in the middle. I love it. I cherish it. I have it even had it engraved with my signature because I'm not gonna give away this camera ever. So, as I promised, I have 3 essential tips for you. The first 2 are the technical ones, so stick around until the last because the last one is for a better shooting experience. Tip number 1 is about the sensor. So let's talk about the sensor first. A monochrome sensor is missing an RGB filter that translates color because of course we want to have monochrome pictures. Every color camera has that RGB filter. So it's basically we have a monochrome sensor. On top of that is a RGB filter, and the RGB filter translates the light that comes through red, green or blue and translates it into a color. Because the sensor beneath on every camera, like in a monochrome, is just a sensor that saves light. That light color translation, that's called basically the color science, and this is with every camera is their secret sauce, with every camera brand I would say. So in the monochrome sensors, because that filter is gone, there's more light coming through the actual sensor. So they're much more light sensitive than color cameras, which means they are much better in low light situations. You can like go up higher ISO numbers here on a monochrome sensor than you can with a color camera. So my first tip, and maybe that it's not logic, but it's my logic, because we have more light on the sensor, we need to protect our highlights more. All the monochrome sensors I have tested so far have very good shadow recovery. But some of them, especially the older ones, are not that good with their highlight recovery. So how can we protect our highlights? We just basically make an exposure correction. How do we do that? We go to exposure compensation, and there we go to minus 0.7. And now when we expose our photo correctly, it's just 0.7 underexposed. That means everything is a little bit darker, even so the highlights are a little bit darker, and we have then in the end more information in the highlights because the shadows we can recover, of course, no problem. If you have very, very, very bright days outside and you don't have any ND filters, I would recommend to even go a little bit more down to -1. But the sweet spot is 0.7. Now, of course, you think, what? I should underexpose every of my picture. So I have to then in Lightroom, for example, have to correct every picture. There is a workaround. So we have an extra tip within the first tip. For that, we need to go to Lightroom. I have here a shot I did in New York with the Leica M10 Monochrom. This is the correct exposure, but it's underexposed by 0.7 exposure compensation. And I can correct that by entering here manually 0.7. And now it is the exposure I initially intended. And we can see here in the sky, we have some highlights preserved. And if we now do some adjustments here, especially in the highlights, you can now see that we get more of the sky. Even though we push the whites a little bit, we still have some clouds, which we probably wouldn't have that clearly if we wouldn't have underexposed the picture in the first place. To not have to do this step manually every time, we can do the following. I'm going to reset this here. Again, I put in here 0.7. This is the only correction I did on that picture now, and this I'm going to save now as a preset. I go here to presets, I say create new preset, and I uncheck everything, and now I only want to save the exposure. I want to put that in my, you can do wherever I want. I have here a group with my settings. I'm starting my own presets, and now I'm going to give it a name, and I say monochrome plus 0.7. Okie dokie, now we have that here. The second step you have to do is you go to Preferences, you go to presets, and here we can set our import presets. So here I'm going to choose my M10 Monochrom. It appears here because I already imported some pictures with the M10 Monochrom. And now I can say create a default. Now I have a default. Every time I import a picture from the M10 Monochrom, it will use whatever I have set now to this default. So I go to preset, to my name, to my plus 0.7. And now, next time I import a picture from the Leica M10 Monochrom, it will automatically have the 0.7 grayed out as a standard for this picture I imported. So it will have the attentional underexposure of the picture corrected and will have it applied as the absolutely beginning setting of the picture. So it is grayed out because if I press reset, it stays grayed out. It doesn't go to 0. If I press 0 and I set reset, it's gonna go to plus 0.7 because this was the import setting. And now, every time when you put out the SIM card of the camera into your computer, Lightroom will recognize your camera and will automatically adjust the exposure correction. And you will have all your pictures with your intended exposure, but your highlights will be a little bit more protected. Tip number 2, use a color filter. In my case here, I have a yellow filter on the camera. With a yellow filter on a monochrome sensor, you get a little bit more contrast. This does not work on a color sensor, it only works on a monochrome sensor. You can even go to an orange filter or a red filter. That gives even more contrast, especially when you do outside shooting. And also it helps with skin tones. I made a dedicated video just about color filters and monochrome sensors. I'm gonna link that in the description. Check that out after this video. This is like a very comprehensive view on color filters. But I would say if you are not experienced with color filters, when you want to start with color filters, use a yellow filter. It just gives the monochrome pictures a little bit more contrast. I also have a feeling you have a little bit more possibilities when editing a black and white or basically a monochrome shot picture when there was a yellow filter attached. Before we come to tip number 3, let me remind you to please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Both actions are easy for you and both actions are helping my channel. Thank you. Now we basically have protected our highlights and we have a little bit more contrast. So now we can go out and make beautiful black and white pictures with a monochrome sensor. What we now can approve is the photo experience. What we now have with the digital cameras, of course, we have our LCD screens where we can check our pictures. And I like, especially with the monochrome camera, not to do that. So to have the original film experience, to shoot all day, never look at a picture, and then come home and see what I have shot. Of course, there is a camera that has no back screen. This is the M11D. It's a digital camera, but without a screen. There is no monochrome version of a MD, but there is a little trick I'm doing sometimes with a little accessory that also protects the camera, and this is a half case. You probably know these half cases where you have a cutout for the screen, and here you have the cutout for the lens. This one is the original Leica one. When I put it here, you can see it is perfectly sitting on the camera. The same exists for older Leica cameras and the same exists also for the Leica M11. What this one for the M10 has, it has a second part which I can put in here. And when I then put the camera on, it has 2 magnets here and I can close it. And now I have an M10 MD. So it covers the screen, which of course protects the screen, but this is not the effect I want to have. I want to have a camera where I'm not tempted to check what I shot. Of course, if I want to or if I need to access the menu, I just can fold it down. This is really fun for me. I love it. For the M11, if I correctly researched, the original Leica one doesn't have that cover, but there is an Oberwörth one where you can attach a bag with a magnet. You don't even have to screw it on, you just can attach it, and if you don't want it, you can just pull it away. I put a link in the description, and maybe some of you know I'm part of the affiliated program from Oberwerth, so if you use the code STAYCurious, you can get 10% as well when you buy the Oberwerth one. For the M10s, I think the Leica ones are still available, I'm not sure, but I'm sure you can find them used, and I know there are also other brands that offer half cases. So find a half case for your M that has a screen protector, and so you're not tempted to look at your picture. These are my 3 tips: -1.7 exposure compensation, color filter, and cover up your screen, and you have much more fun shooting your M. If you have any additional tips for especially monochrome shooting, please put them in the comments for everybody who's interested, and also, of course, for me. If you want to know more about the color filters, check out this video next. Stay curious!